So I'm you, I walk into the classroom, and as they're settling in, I go to, so watch what I do here. I go to teacher.desmos.com. So I try to get there early. Then you could search for this activity if you want, but let me show you under these bundles. The one we're going to do is called Marble Slides. So it's in linear. So you click on it, and then you create class code. And then you click View Dashboard. Okay, so now you're a student. Elizabeth is your teacher.
All righty, class. We're going to go to student.desmos.com, so either an iPad or your laptop if you have that. So one thing that's cool as the teacher is I have control over this dashboard, and normally I project this so the whole class can kind of see what's happening.
How did you pause it? Because I've used this before.
It's just up here, so the
I've
teacher
never
dashboard.
seen that.
It's awesome. So anytime that you need to break up one of these Desmos activities, or you just have a comment that you're walking around and you notice some students doing something right or wrong, you just pause everybody, and everybody's like, oh! So it's like really cool because you can see how engaged they are, that they don't want to stop. They just want to like keep going and keep working on it. So the way that this teacher one is set up, I have access to all the screens so I can show you guys out where everybody is at one time. I could also look at just what you guys are seeing. And so actually that's where I want to start. I paused you guys for a minute because it's a great idea when you're doing these activities to kind of show you a couple slides so everybody gets the idea of what's going on, just in case they're not sure what's happening. So with Marble Slides, we're investigating lines a little bit and seeing the effects that when we change equations, how that affects the graph. And so our goal is going to be to try and get all of the stars. So we have to launch that marble. So this is my first slide here. So I hit launch. Yay! Success! And then you'll hit next on yours. So you can see that it's screen 1 of 24. So if I want to go to the next screen, I would hit next, which some of you guys have seen. And so just to kind of get an idea of what it's talking about, make sure you read the directions. So students don't like to read directions. They just like start doing stuff. I'm like, read it. It says, change one number. How many numbers are we changing? One. Okay. In this row below in order to fix the marble slide. So right now, if I click launch, it's a sad day. Aww. Not success like last time. So what can I do to that line to make it so I can actually get all those stars?
Change the number.
Change a y-intercept. So I did take one number. She's saying the y-intercept. Wait, which one's the y-intercept?
The one.
The 1. Okay, so what should right now it's 1. Should I make it go bigger?
Smaller.
Smaller?
Down.
Negative.
Like 5?
No, negative.
Negative.
-1? Oops, too many negatives. -1?
No.
No?
One more. -2. Let's see.
-2?
Yeah,
You guys
that's
think?
good.
No.
Yeah.
You may miss them.
Success! Woohoo! We did it! Yay! All right, so that's going to be your goal. You might get a little bit more challenging as things go on. So I'm going to unpause that, and you'll work with your partner and try and figure these guys out. So you are unpaused.
And go.
Alrighty, so I know some of you are like really cruising along. If you look at, oh, board, you can see everyone's name and then you can see what they've actually gotten through. And then the other thing that you can do, if you're not comfortable, but again, we're trying to create this environment where everyone's like learning, and I find it fun with my students. They kind of compete with each other when they see their names up here and they kind of see where they're at, and so it's just like a fun atmosphere in that way. But you can make it anonymous if you want to just display some of the student work. It changes their names to all famous scientists and mathematicians. So you can kind of change it back and forth, so when you display students, you can have it as that, and then like if I mute it, then I could change it back and see everybody's name there. But then in particular, like if I want to select, like somebody's like far ahead over here, if I want to select that one student, so it has like the name and then it has like what they were talking about or explaining, so you can kind of see that going on and show that to the class. You could also not go student by student, but actually pick a slide overall. So if I wanted to pick, so only 2 people have completed that slide, I go back. Like this one, you can kind of see what everybody's doing at the same time. You could also like overlay to kind of see where everybody was at, and almost everybody chose the same one. You darken that blue line, so you can get an idea of students thinking, and you can explain that to the class as well, and all with the pause button. In your book, towards the back, there is an instruction guide for using the Desmos and how to kind of get the activities going, which is what Robin had showed you before. Throughout Math 520 and 410, there's a few Desmos activities that are put in there. Now, these activities were not created by us, like Desmos creates them, and it's so awesome. And there's plenty more activities, so as you're investigating Desmos, and if you find something really cool, like we appreciate sharing. Yeah?
Now, will students have access, or will we have access to give iPads to students, or they have to bring in their own devices for this?
So the classrooms have iPad carts, or it's in a
Oh,
computer
really?
lab for most of it.
For 520,
Or-
for sure. 410, I can't guarantee.
And
But could
so,
we go to the lab and, is the lab
For
available?
410, not necessarily.
No, but we are really working, and we're working closely, we even had a meeting with the president to let him know what our needs are, and he's definitely behind the MATHSway project, and so it's just a matter of when we're going to get the iPad carts, and so we're really hoping that it's going to be in a timely manner, but we're not real sure if it's going to be.
we've also created for some of the ones in 410 at the beginning of the class, we had some of these activities shown as we review and investigate lines some more. And so they created like low-tech versions of the Desmos activities. They're of course not as interactive and vibrant, but at least there's something there that kind of mimics this. So yeah, the instruction page is on there. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that besides the pause button and the making it anonymous, it has pacing. So there's a couple ways that I like to use Desmos. One is just let them go, and normally towards the end of the activities, there's like a more challenging problem. So students that are a little bit more advanced and they get there, they're focused on that for a while, but it still allows all the other students to get through all of the basic stuff. At the same time, if you want to keep some people within certain slides, you can do that. And that's what the pacing tool is for. So like if I don't want you guys to get past number 7, I can just break it to be just keeping you, where you can't go on, between like slides 1 and 5, for instance. So I can select, I want you guys to stay only within that range. And so then that restricts it, so nobody can go further. And so it kind of has a stopping point, so you can kind of pace it out for yourself. Like I want everyone to stop right here, so then we can explain, talk about whatever. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Anything else anybody would like to add about the Desmos? Any questions that you guys have about them? Who's used Desmos activities before? Okay. Anything else you guys want to share, being users of it?
Aside from just the activities, obviously, they have the Desmos graphing calculator, so you may want to just type that in, just so you could show them a couple of cool things about that. And you get an idea by doing some of the graphing activities, how the syntax for how to punch in some of the equator, some of the functions and restrictions, but.
And you can also save them too. If you have a Google account or Desmos account, you can be logged in, so you can see that Doug's logged in, so it can like save your graphs. So for instance, if I wanted to talk about slope and see the effect of that number in front of x in other ways, you can actually put like a k, and then you can create this slider. So I can just graph something like y equals 2x, for example, and I can change it or make a new line here for the students so they can start to see the effect. But then if I do a slider, I use this when I'm teaching in my other classes, stretches and shrinking and all that other stuff, vertical movement. If you add a slider in here, then they can see as K gets bigger what's happening. It's a nice little visual for them. And then you can also hide the equations and ask them to think about what the equation for that is and kind of